So, which galaxy are you from?
Actually, I don't know myself. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you.
Oh, feisty little life form, aren't you?
You want to see feisty? Just wait until I get big.
Now, occasionally in a show, you get something that's often referred to as a bottle episode. Now, like many things these days, the definition of this term has taken on a new meaning gradually over time, but it basically refers to an episode that has a limited range of characters involved, or limited to no change in environment throughout the duration of its run. It's done at times as a means to save on budget, bring the focus in on a character to possibly justify their reason for being in the show, or enhance their connection with the audience by giving them literal alone time. They can certainly be effective in ways to establish a character or provide context to certain environments or world building at large, and can often disrupt the larger narrative, proven with a lot of The Walking Dead over the years, but they can work to perfection in redefining those characters as to who they were, are, and go on to be. Now, apply that understanding to an animated show designed for pre-teens and just ask yourself one thing. Does this storytelling concept really work with such an idea like Ben 10? I don't blame you for feeling that way, but I assure you they worked it to almost near perfection. Not sure why? Let me explain what happens and then we'll get into it. We open on Ben and Gwen finally agreeing on something as they're met with a gigantic water slide that Ben quickly finds out he's about an inch too short for.
What? 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 What?
Gwen gets ready to ditch him when he gets the harebrained idea that going alien will suddenly change the guy's opinion of him, when the watch suddenly won't budge. After repeated attempts to slam the dial down, Ben does the old computer reboot trick and smacks the watch face against a pillar, which transforms him into grey matter.
Ha-ha! Nailed it!
He accepts the situation he's put himself in and joins Gwen on the water slide, and basically glides down because of how small he is, and after he's hit the bottom, Gwen chastises him for this action, but he tells Gwen not to say anything to Grandpa Max, convinced that the watch will time out. As Gwen leaves him in the pool, he is quickly grabbed up by a conspiracy theorist and alien enthusiast, Howell Wainwright.
Shit, damn it!
Sometime later, Howell arrives home with Ben and locks Ben up in a jar. A little after, Ben provokes Howell's cat to knock him off the edge and he manages to escape. As this happens, Howell contacts a shady looking group of modern day cosplayers who want to take a closer inspection at grey matter. As this unfolds, Ben makes it to the kitchen and finds a phone where he gets in contact with Gwen, but is quickly cut off when he sets the house security alarm off. After quickly becoming a house of horrors for the little guy, Ben is caught once more and is shown off to the medieval morons, who take both of them to the super secret hideout and prepare to slice and dice grey matter. As this happens, Gwen and Max manage to track them down and break into the castle to liberate Ben. As the unholy knights cast Howell aside, who was chasing the idea of fame through discovery, decides he won't get shafted for this and infiltrates the base in disguise and rescues Ben. As he gets caught in this again, grey matter runs off and runs directly into the leg of Gwen, and as they try to escape, are caught and chased back into a room full of alien technology being displayed like trophies. Max recognises a lot of this and sees that they need to get the fuck out of there. Using the mind of grey matter, Ben fashions a weapon out of the surrounding artifacts, but as he's about to leave, is caught in the crossfire from the guards and finally times out, and is saved once more by Howell, confused as to where he came from. They make it out of the castle, and as we see the handiwork of grey matter, they go their separate ways. But as the leader of the Dark Knights closes out the episode, we see that he's looking at a tablet with all of our heroes' faces on, and is seemingly now hunting them. Truth be told, this episode is relevant for two reasons as far as I can tell. The first reason being the most obvious, the introduction of the soon-to-be-named Forever Knights, that are a shifty organisation who pride themselves on taking and repurposing alien technology to later use against their enemies, which seems to include Max in this moment based on his knowledge of them and concern over their appearance. They're an interesting addition to the series, however nothing meaningful comes of it until later on in the continuation series named Alien Force, so if you're hooked on understanding more of them, you'll be waiting a while. And the second reason being Ben. This episode didn't really teach Ben anything other than be aware of your surroundings and don't fuck with the watch. It was bizarre to see the watch just fight Ben in this moment and almost teach him a lesson just to be a dick. And it adds to the theory that the watch is sentient and is more aware of everything that's happening around it than it lets on. This episode was certainly quite an amusing one just for the antics and the voice of grey matter.
You want to see feisty? Just wait until I get big.
That voice of which can never be defeated for me. I do wish at times that they did a little more of this throughout the series, to afford a little more time for certain aliens, but it's fair to say that a lot of the power bases for the likes of Forearms, Heat Blast, and Diamond Head doesn't require much more depth, but in the case of Grey Matter, up to this point, we barely knew who he was and what he was capable of. He was quickly established as extremely intelligent from the moment we saw him, however much of a dud the first appearance might have been, but to truly figure out what he can achieve despite his diminutive stature was impressive, and as you progress through the show, you'll love what we discover about his species. Max and Gwen play second fiddle when it comes to the story, as they're simply there to chase the carrot, and Howell will never comes back in the show, so don't hang your hat on understanding what becomes of him. Otherwise, this was a delightful and amusing escapade that brought one of the smallest members of Ben's arsenal into the limelight for a bit, and allowed him to prove exactly what he can do in a fight against the bigger around him. The very concept of this episode is a rather fun use for the little fella too, and it feels appropriate with its position in the series to do it now as we're closing out season 1, and we've established what every other alien can achieve when put to the test. Anyway, that's all I've got for this one. I appreciate you dropping by, and I'd like to ask that you at least leave a like and subscribe for more in the future. Until next time though everybody, take care, and I'll see you soon.